I'm here to defend Facebook Memories. Now, if you don't know Facebook Memories, you probably think Nirvana is like a t-shirt company, and that's fine. But if you know Facebook Memories, you know normally it reminds you of the fact that it used to be culturally appropriate to get blackout drunk and then post the photos of that blackout online. But I actually had a good Facebook memory recently. It was this one right here, and it reminded me that 10 years ago I was at the Grand Canyon for the first time, and it reminded me of this trip that changed my life. I went on this trip where I drove all around the country and I did a bunch of backcountry camping, went out into the wilderness, and it was a trip that, really changed the trajectory of my life. I think it's why I live in Berlin today. It's why I ended up starting doing stand-up comedy. That trip changed everything for me. Because before that, I had been on this kind of normal track. I graduated college, barely, and then I got a job in sales in a cubicle in an office without windows and lived for the weekend. And that lasted for about 2 years, and then I was like, I gotta get out of here. And so I quit my job. I moved out of my apartment and I decided to start living out of my car. It's important when you live out of your car to tell people that you chose to live out of your car. That's an important distinction to make. And so I was like, I'm going to live out of my car and I'm going to go drive around, do all this like backcountry camping, be out in the wilderness. And the first stop was the Grand Canyon. And I had this magical campsite there. It was right on the edge of the canyon, completely by myself. It felt like I had the entire Grand Canyon all to myself. It was magical. And I remember eating my dinner, watching the sunset, just feeling so full of like life and excitement and gratitude. And I climb in my tent and the wind starts to pick up and then it starts to pick up more. And then the next 6 hours were the craziest storm I've ever been in. There was so much lightning that it seemed like there was just like a lantern on inside my tent. And the wind was so strong, the side of the tent was like collapsing in. And I'm right on the edge of the canyon. And so the whole time I'm like, am I about to get blown into the canyon? Am I about to get blown into the abyss? Am I going to be Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz? It felt like the wind was strong enough that it would just take my tent up and fucking spin me around. And I was sitting there, and this is the first night of the trip, and I'm realizing I've booked myself permits, wilderness permits, and this is the first night of camping, and I've got nothing but 6 more months of camping after this. And it was only in that moment where I'm scared to death, scared that I'm about to die, that if I live through this, I've got 6 more months of camping to go, that I realized I've only gone camping twice in my life before. And it was a good reminder, because that's a thing for me. I used to work on a fishing boat in Alaska, and I remember when I went up there and I got up to the boat, the captain was like, "Hey, do you get seasick since you're going to be living on the ocean for the next 3 months?" And I was like, "Oh, I've never been on a boat before." So thank you to Facebook Memories for reminding me that I am a impulsive guy.